Well, I got out of here in '73. I worked locally at WATH for a year. Did obviously radio, sports, play-by-play, a lot of that, sales, everything you do at a small market. I ran the board on Sunday mornings for the religious shows when some of the ladies from the hills around Southeast Ohio would come in and wail and pray to God, and I'd sit there and run the board for it, and that was fine. To each his own. And sales was a big part of it, as I say. You had to disc jockey, you had to do everything. And again, there's nothing original in any of that, but it's just the reality of, you getting out of school and trying to learn as much as you can to use all that gained experience to better yourself, to improve yourself. So I was here 11 months, and the time came to move on, both on my part as well as the station. And I had an opening come up in St. Louis doing basketball, which is what I wanted to do. I'd done 3 years of OU basketball on radio, 2 at OUB and 1 at WATH. Took this opportunity. I went to St. Louis. In fact, the job that I went to St. Louis interested in was the pro basketball team that was there then. And I got there. They filled the job, but the general manager of the team called up the college coach, who they needed a guy. So here I went from small Athens, Ohio to a major market, made the move, did a year of basketball there. Season ended, and I might add, while I was in St. Louis, I worked for the school, for St. Louis University. I did the games on radio. I did, again, sales, promotion, again, anything that needed to be done. I learned on everything. And then took a job in Cincinnati. I think a friend of a friend told me about it. And I went to work at WSAI Radio in Cincinnati covering the local sports, the Cincinnati Reds, the Bengals, what have you. More experience, great trip, all the way around, just an outstanding opportunity. But within like 7, 8 months, opportunity knocked again that I heard about an opening again in pro basketball. This time in Salt Lake City with the Utah Stars, not the Jazz now, the Utah Stars. This was the old American Basketball Association, which is now defunct. And there were 2 leagues back then, the NBA and the ABA. I took this radio opportunity to go out to Salt Lake City. And I was just mentioning to a journalism class that as you get older in life, you look back on your life and you find those Ys, like a Y bridge, like in Zanesville, I guess it is, where you could go one way or the other. And the same week that I had the opportunity to go to Salt Lake City, the Spirits of St. Louis basketball team called me up and offered me the TV job. So I had the opportunity at 24 to make a good move either way. Radio is what I wanted. I didn't necessarily want television. Obviously, television has the strengths and benefits that it has. Radio had more allure to me. The TV job was only a couple of games a week or every 2 weeks, whereas the radio was every game. So I chose the radio job. Was it a good decision or not? I'll never know, only because the team went out of business after 12 games of the regular season. So, and the basketball team in St. Louis stayed in business for another year. So had I stayed or had I gone to St. Louis instead of Salt Lake City, who knows what may or may not have happened. I had no regret about it, but that was the path that, I took and took me. And then from there, a year of unemployment, which was great. Basically living in Los Angeles with a friend of mine, having a heck of a good time. And then I went to Cleveland. And after a couple of years in Cleveland, some more basketball, the chance in Washington, D.C. came up with Associated Press. And back then it was a 1,000-station network. It was a whole new kind of a job, working within a department of men, and there are now women, back then there weren't, who were older than me, had been experienced doing things I hadn't done. So I took that, and I would have never bet you $1 that I'd be there 34 years later, but there I am, or here I am 34 years later.